Welcome to 100 Yards of Football this morning. This morning, we're going to highlight the 2021 New York Giants team preview. If you like the video this morning, please comment and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. So, let's get started talking about the New York Giants, the G-Mans, out there in the beautiful city of New York. When you think about the New York Giants, in my mind, I always come back to one of the greatest players that ever played the game in Lawrence Taylor in the 80s. With Phil Simms, Harry Carson, Leonard Marshall, all them great New York teams that won Super Bowls during that time. But we got another version coming in 2021. So let me start with the Giants, the G-Man as the present. The bottom line to the New York Giants for 2021 is about their offense. Jason Garrett, the offensive coordinator, is under scrutiny. The Giants only averaged 18 points a game last year, which is unheard in the National Football League. And they got a quarterback that's going in his third year, Mr. Daniel Jones. He's on the clock. Now, when they took him number 6 overall a couple of years ago, GM Dave Gettleman said he was going to be a star in New York, a star like Joe Namath, the Chinchilla Colts, a star like Lawrence Taylor, a star like Phil Simms. But that has not happened. This year, the young man, Daniel Jones, you are on the clock, and you got to perform at a high level this year. In your career, I'm going to start with Daniel Jones. You got to cut down on your turnovers, my man. 22 interceptions and 9 fumbles you had in 2 years. Last year, you had 11 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So everybody was saying, hey, you didn't have the weapons, and plus you lost your star running back, Saquon Barkley, with a torn ACL early on in the season. But this year, you got weapons. You got Kenny Golladay, Pro Bowler, coming over from Detroit. Production off the charts. 3,038 yards, career yards receiving, 21 touchdowns. And he's a baller. Then you drafted Kadarius Toney out of Florida, Mobile's finest. 1,590 yards receiving in his career. 17 touchdowns, average almost 13 yards a catch. Then you brought over the speed demon, Mr. John Ross, who 2 years ago with the Cincinnati Bengals averaged almost 18 yards a catch. Then you brought up Kyle Rudolph from Minnesota, veteran tight end that's been in the league since 2011, 48 career touchdowns. Then you got the young man out of Hillgrove High School and outside locally here in the Metro Atlanta area, Mr. Evan Ingram. So you got a lot of firepower. They have got you help on the offensive side of the ball, Mr. Daniel Jones. But there's another critical part, too, if the Giants are going to be successful and improve on scoring more than 18 points. It's the offensive line. You got 3 guys who I think, if the Giants can perform on the offensive line level as they did back in the days of Tom Coughlin when they was going to the Super Bowl, let me throw in Michael Strahan with that, then y'all got a good chance of being a good team offensively. Can Andrew Thomas, go Dogs, University of Georgia, take his game up to another level in year 2? Can Nick Gates take his game up to another level at the center position? And can Will Hernandez, who y'all had a lot of promise, can he be that guard? That's going to be very critical for the New York Giants offense in 2021 and Mr. Daniel Jones. Let's talk about the defense. I love the defense. Patrick Graham is one of the upcoming young minds in defensive side of football in the National Football League. 41 years old. What he did last year was special with that defense. Number 1, I'm going to start with Leonard Williams, USC finest. Had 11.5 career sacks. Mr. Graham got some out of him going into 2020 last year. And now he's starting to go into the elite status. Then you drafted another dog out of University of Georgia, Mr. Aaron Larry. He could come with pressure off the top. I think the best pass rusher in the draft in 2021. Then the linebacker position, Blake Martinez came over from Green Bay. He's what I call a tackling machine. Remember Michael Jackson when he had dancing, it's a dancing machine with the Jackson 5? Blake Martinez is a tackling machine. Had 151 tackles last year for the Giants. Tay Crowder, another dog who got drafted in the 7th round, has played pretty good last year and showed everybody he'll be on the floor, and he might be one of the upcoming young players in the NFC this year. And then finally, the secondary. This is what I love about the Giants football team, where I think if they get quality play out of Daniel Jones, They can be a special football team. Their secondary is going to be one of the best in all of pro football. I'm going to start with the safeties. Jabril Peppers, explosive. Xavier McKinney, steady. Roll Tide. Logan Ryan, veteran. Super Bowl rings. Warrior, come out to play. They went over there and got that young man out of Tennessee to cover their other cornerback position. Adoree Jackson, special, can be elite. Showed some flashes when he was with the Tennessee Titans, now in that defensive backfield with the Giants. Then you got my man, James Bradberry. All I have to say last year, Pro Bowler, ascending, top 5. Then I like what the Giants did in the draft. They really improved their secondary. Aaron Robinson out of Central Florida. Locked the door corner. Then they went out and got Rodarius Williams out of Oklahoma State. Let me tell you something about him. Even though he dropped in the 6th round and his brother plays for the Cleveland Browns, Greedy Williams, he might be better than 2, but he improved as a player in his 4 years at Oklahoma State. He can be a lockdown. This secondary can be the best in the NFC East and maybe one of the best in the league. When I look at the New York Giants, I'm going to keep it short and sweet today. It's all about Daniel Jones, man, and the offensive line. And one key component that's going to be really critical, Jason Garrett. We know how he was as a head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. But him being the offensive coordinator, the Giants struggled last year. Granted, people say they didn't have pieces, but Sterling Shepard is still a pretty good football player. Darius Slayton got hurt last year. Understand this, but he's going to come back this year out of Greater Christian Atlanta here locally in Atlanta, War Eagle. He's going to be a player. Now you bring in Kenny Golladay. You bring in John Ross. You got Kyle Rudolph, Evan Ingram. And I know it's going to probably take Saquon Barkley a little bit going at the running back position because he's coming back from a torn ACL, and he's still the centerpiece of the offense. But the offensive line, under new offensive line coach Ron Sale, if he's able to get those guys going, then the Giants can completely be a good football team. And I think they can be serious in the NFC East because defensively, I think they're going to be there. They got pieces. Leonard Williams, as I just mentioned, Mr. Aaron Larry from the University of Georgia. Blake Martinez is a good player. Their secondary got 3 of the top safeties in the game. Logan Ryan, Xavier McKinley, Jabril Peppers, Adoree Jackson, James Bradberry. These good football players on the defensive side. But it's going to be all about Daniel Jones. And Mr. Jones, I'm going to say this to you. The pressure is on because you're in the highest, most scrutinized media market in the world, being a quarterback for the New York Giants. But it's all going to be about, can you take the next step? And think about this, Giants Nation. Y'all didn't pick up Daniel Jones' 5th option. But if he doesn't pan out, y'all did pick up an extra in the 1st round pick for the Chicago Bears for the Justin Fields pick. So the quarterback class coming in next year might have somebody that can fit in y'all system. But I'm going to tell you this. Everybody's saying they happy with Joe Judge as the head coach, and I left him for last. You went 6-10 last year, Coach Judge. You coming from Bill Belichick's tree. We all understand that. And the Giants played well at the end of the year. But however, this is a critical time for the Giants. This is a very period where they haven't been this bad in their 50-year history. Remember, we're talking about an organization that's had 2 of the greatest defensive players that ever played the game. Michael Strahan, Texas Southern. The greatest linebacker ever, Lawrence Taylor. The Giants Nation expecting something to happen now. So for Mr. Daniel Jones, I'm going to leave it with this. As the great George Benson says, they say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. And they say there's always magic in the air. On Broadway by George Benson. Mr. Daniel Jones, I'm hoping and praying that the magic come together for you and Jason Garrett in 2021 with the New York Giants. And it's simply stating win football games and get the Giant Nation back to being respectable in the National Football League. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. The 2021 New York Giants team preview. Thank you and God bless. And before I leave this season, I want to give kudos to my man who's doing an outstanding job. My producer this morning. I said this evening, I apologize. This morning, Mr. Logan Landers out of Douglasville, Georgia. Thank you, my man. Y'all be blessed. Enjoy the rest of the week. I'm Vincent Turner of 100.